Hunter Buchanan didn't believe in love at first sight. Hell, he didn't much believe in love at all. But the moment he'd seen the tall redhead standing in the foyer of one of his empty houses, a box of books in her arms and a skeptical look on her face, he'd felt something. She'd been bold and fearless with her words, something that attracted him as a man who clung to the shadows. And when she'd admitted to her quiet friend that most men bored her and she wanted something different in a relationship than just a pretty face, Hunter knew she was meant for him. She was pretty, young, and single. She had a smart mind and a sharp tongue. He liked that about her. She was unafraid and laughed easily. Days had passed since he'd glimpsed at her, and he still couldn't get her out of his mind. She haunted his dreams. Hunter was smart and rich and only a few years older than her. It shouldn't have been unattainable. Unconsciously, he touched the deeply gouged scars on his face, his fingers tracing the thick line at the corner of his mouth where damaged tissue had been reconstructed. There was one thing preventing Hunter from pursuing a woman like that. His face. His hideous, scarred face. He could hide the scars on his chest and arm with clothing. He could clench his hand and no one would notice that he was missing a finger. But he couldn't hide his face. When he chose to leave his house, people crossed the street to avoid him. Men frowned as if there were something unnerving about him. Women flinched away from the sight of him. Just like the woman next to him currently was doing. Bronte, Logan's big-eyed girlfriend, sat next to him at the Brotherhood's poker table. The dark basement was filled with a haze of cigar smoke and the scent of liquor. Normally, the room was filled with his 5 best friends, but they'd gone upstairs to talk to Logan about the fact that he'd brought his new girlfriend with him to a secret society meeting. Bronte had stayed behind with him. It was clearly not by her choice. Hunter Buchanan didn't believe in love at first sight. Hell, he didn't much believe in love at all. But the moment he'd seen the tall redhead standing in the foyer of one of his empty houses, a box of books in her arms and a skeptical look on her face, he'd felt something. She'd been bold and fearless with her words,